best grooming cutters for you, That's all natural and handcrafted too. We wanna help be a swagger, style, class, and luxury. Makeup products that are made for you with high quality, yeah. So get in style with the black, yeah. Company, swagger, style, class, and luxury, yeah. Black, gentleman, black, yeah. Company, swagger, style, class, and luxury, yeah.
Located at www.theblackgent.com. Yo. What's good? It's Stormybman, and I am back. Welcoming you to Answering the Bell with Stormybman, our Sunday morning call-in for this Sunday, September 15th, 2024. This is number 134 in the series of call-ins as we talk about the events of our beloved sport of boxing, what's past, what's current, and what may be on the horizon. We're coming out of a dynamite weekend of fights that saw us enjoy the return to the ring of Saul Canelo Alvarez as he took on Edgar Berlanga in a super middleweight unification bout where Canelo had those unified titles on the line and had selected Edgar Berlanga as the next young fighter to try to test the mettle. And it turned out to be a good checkbox for Canelo because he caught this young man before he was confident enough to be able to impose himself on a fight of this magnitude, the first of sorts for Berlanga, and a stroke of genius for the Canelo Alvarez team because they were able to deposit another lucrative purse from this without jeopardizing his current position and status in the sport. We have to think about things in the correct manner when we talk about boxing. And, I'm not one to dwell on money and things of that nature, but the business end of it always seems to get in the way. And I understand that now they're saying things about Canelo like he reserves the right to pick who he wants to fight and things of that nature. No, when you hold the titles, you have to defend against contending fighters who want their title shot as well. You don't get to pretend like they don't exist, like you no longer have responsibilities to the sport and to your contemporaries. Case in point, Terrence Crawford, when he became the undisputed welterweight champion, two-time, two-division undisputed champion in the four-belt era, were they not telling everyone who'd listen his responsibility now is to fight the other guys? Jaron Boots Ennis, you got Imantas Stanionis, and so forth and so on out there, right? And even when he was obligated by contract to face Spence in a rematch, they were still talking about, hey, you got to come up off of those belts. Where is the same type of focus on Canelo, who hasn't fought men at the top of the division who rightfully were due their title shots for like the past 4 years? But let's discuss it. Because Berlanga was nothing more than a record on the turntable last night. They played that tune. Some of you may have enjoyed it. Some of us didn't like the sound or the beat, huh? Yeah. But welcome everybody. Smash the like button as you come into the building. And we could talk about all this and more. And there's something I wanted to share with you all too, as we get into discussing, and it might surprise some of you. And then again, maybe for some of you others, it won't be a surprise. But you know, that's what I do. I talk about the sport. I talk about the fighters. Some of them, I'll throw them down. I'll put them down straight away. Others may require a little more acknowledgement and respect. But you need to know the difference. Yeah. You need to know the difference. You guys gotta excuse me this morning. I have sinus and it's kind of like I got a sinus drip this morning. So you may kind of hear me clearing my throat a little bit, but I will try to mute my mic and not make it sound so gross. But yeah, that's what I'm dealing with this morning. It's a season change, and when you got sinus, you have to deal with the climate conditions here in the Chi area. Yeah! Let me see who we got in the building for the roll call. Some of y'all sitting out there peeping through the blinds in the bushes. Others of you can't wait to try to show somebody your junk, and we ain't trying to see it. You understand? It's Sunday morning, huh? Act like you got some civility. Yeah! My man Drew Titan in the building first, saying yup. Eric Jordan is out there saying Drew Titan, salute fam. And Stormybman, salute sensei. Eric Jordan is also out there with that super sticker this morning early. Appreciate that, Eric Jordan. Welcome, welcome. Universal Truth is back with us with some channel emojis. Junior the Truth, my brother, is out there saying, let's go. You know me, we are ready. Boxing and Barbecue in the building saying, morning, Stormy. And he says, a junior sighting. Jimmy Bernard is back saying, good morning, Sensei. What's good, chat? Smash the like button. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Boxing and Barbecue is in the building. Eric Jordan says, the fight was over after the fourth round. Canelo had the power of the ninja sword. Heavyweight. Frank from the land is out there saying, salute Stormybman and peace to the chat. Mind of Mansa Musa is out there saying, salute to the Wiseman, the sensei. Yeah. Yeah, man. What's good? What's good? But we here to talk about some stuff today, man. And we can recap. I did a post-fight show last night. Spoke about the fight, the card. And, like when you go to the bathroom and take care of your business, I'm kind of ready to move on from it. But I understand that some of y'all might want to get something off of your chest or your breast, huh? Depending on what you're claiming, huh? Because I ain't trying to, do no gender smashing this morning, huh? I ain't going for that. I ain't the one. But we can have a conversation. That's what it's all about. We'll open up the lines in a minute. Let you guys see what's happening. But we ready. We ready. Let's see here. Okay, salute to Jack out there. He bought a Stormybman champion packable jacket. Hey, man, those are very nice. Those packable rain jackets, they're nice. They're very light, almost like a windbreaker, but even lighter than that. You can actually fold them up. They have a zippable pouch on the front of it that flips over, and you could fold it up and just put it in your pocket, your bag, your purse, because some of y'all carry those man purses, Yeah, you. But anyway, it's nice, and the colors are pretty nice too. Personally, I should have got me a black one. I got the gold one. It's still nice, but I can't wear it while I'm on the air because with my green screen and everything, that gold yellow, it don't work on the green screen. It's like, it looks like I got a silver space suit on and I'm a member of the Fantastic Four or something like that. Yeah! But thank you for your purchase, Jack. And I hope that you enjoy your item, people who have purchased some of the Stormy merchandise have been fairly pleased with it, and that's a good thing to hear. I know each of the products that I've picked up, I got a few hats, I got tees, I got, the jackets, I got the pullovers, everything's been pretty good. So enjoy, enjoy, and proudly walk around and display it so people say, what's Stormybman? And then you can gleefully share your story, And if you don't, F+, get to the back of the class and get you one of them to put on your ass. Yeah! That's right. That's right. So, let me see if I can pull this up here. Do we have it? There it is. So what we're going to do is open up those phone lines for you this morning, and let's see who wants to step into the garden, the arena, Yeah. Let's talk some boxing this morning. Yeah, what I wanted to share with you guys is that though Canelo fought last night and Berlanga and his people were already talking about the money that he was making. You see, you if you listen clearly, people will reveal who they are and what they are about. Let's see who we got here. Okay, we got 864 out there. Who's calling? What's on your mind? Welcome to the show.
Salute to the wise one, the sensei. This is Master Musa.
Master Musa, what's happening with you, brother? How you doing this morning?
I'm good. I'm good. First of all, I want to say humbly to my elder, you are correct. My hard head don't be wanting to listen, so I got to say, once again, you are correct. I am humbled. And it definitely went exactly how you said it would go.
Well, no. Listen here, brother. Let me explain something about myself, man. I don't take solace in the fact that being correct on these things, because it's just like if you were attending university and you're sitting in a lecture hall, and the professor is providing you with an opportunity to, give your information on a subject that you may have had to do a paper on or something like that. It's not about being correct. It's about taking the message of what the professor was asking of you and why to do the report or what have you. See, now here, this show this morning, in retrospect, is taking in what I was able to break down and assess for you all. Remember, I tell you all the time, love who you like and support them and everything, but not at the expense of taking in knowledge about what's happening. See, that's more important than being right or wrong. Because to err is human. To err is human. So, a lot of brothers out here, they do their content and everything, and they say, oh, I had to eat crow or whatever. Well, I like to eat, but on my menu, there's all types of meals to devour. So the crow is not something that I receive on that, because understanding to err is human. So guess what? You're going to find some yard bird from time to time. That's just life, huh? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So, but no, don't take it as being right or wrong. But if I said something that you found that aligned with what transpired or whatever, the only thing that means and shares with you is the fact that having a keen eye of what to be observant of, and the experience and gathering more experience to be able to put together that type of assessment. That's why Tommy Hearns, who saw a friend of mine years ago at a match, and when the match was over, my friend was sitting very near Hearns, and he was upset because he had put money on the fight, and he lost the fight, and he greeted Hearns, and Hearns greeted him, and Hearns was like, well, you look upset, brother. He was like, man, I lost money on this fight. He said, Tommy Hearns put his hand on his shoulder and say, my brother, listen to me. He was like, watch boxing. Love boxing with all your heart, but keep your money in your pocket. That was coming from Tommy Hearns, who we know is a legend of the sport, huh? He didn't say, oh, well, maybe you'll get him next time. He told him, keep your money in your pocket. Why do you think that would be, that Tommy would say that?
I mean, I got a couple of reasons why, but the main one I would say because you got to know who you watching, be a fan first, and study boxing, not to necessarily bet on it, but basically you can go by, you pretty much know who's gonna win if you follow boxing. And I would say the thing with Berlanga is we pretty much knew Canelo had it in the bag, not by the rounds, but by the experience. And being who Berlanga was, we pretty much knew he didn't have a chance. A puncher's chance, but that was about it. But Canelo wasn't going to let it happen. And then Canelo got a beard on that, too.
Okay. So now that you've given me that answer, what did I say in response to you saying, Stormy, I got to admit you were right? Did we just now bring that full circle?
Yes, sir.
You see?
Yeah.
The answer is not from me. It's within you.
It's see what you're saying that. I totally get it because I'm conscious and I never stop learning. I try to learn something new every day. And what all you content creators tell me, I study, I listen to, I go back and watch videos, I enjoy it, I ingest it. I guess by me being a fan, I kind of look for the crazy things, but me deep down inside, I pretty much know, but I just like doing you know what I'm saying, just the wild stuff of being a fan sometimes. But fighters that I study and I watch and I know, I pretty much know how it's going to go with them, you know. But
check it out. It's like this.
I can't really stay long, Stormy. The kids waiting on me watching this movie.
Okay.
I told them I was going to call you when you came on.
Okay.
Looking at me like, really? But I got you. I'm happy in my ear, but I got them to watch this movie with them. But I'm going to enjoy your show. I'm going to jump back in the chat.
Okay.
I'm listening to it. I enjoy you, King. I appreciate you. And I definitely learned from you. And thank you, my brother.
Thank you, man. You have a great day. Enjoy your family, man.
All right. Peace, King. Thank you.
Peace. All right.
All right, let's go.
Great call there from Mansa Musa, man. Appreciate that. Yeah. See, that's what's up, man. That's what's up. But I was talking just before the call came in on something that I discovered this morning. And it was looking on what transpired with the fight with Canelo and Berlanga last night. Canelo's prior fight, which was in May of this year, was against Jaime Munguia. And I found it very interesting to look on the dossier for upcoming fights. And this coming Friday on ESPN will be the return to the ring of one Jaime Munguia. Yeah! Now listen, I want to say something about that. Jaime made his biggest payday when he took on Canelo Alvarez. And he acquitted himself very well, fairly well in the fight. He didn't win the fight, but it was a good fight. And out of his 44 fights, he now has one loss, and that's to Canelo. But he'll be taking on. Hold on. My pages shut down on me. I'm just trying to pull my pages back up. But he'll be taking on Eric Bazinian on Friday on ESPN from Canada. Now, Bazinian is 32-0 with one draw. He has 23 KOs. He's 29 years of age, and he competes in the super middleweight division. The fact that Munguia is coming back just like that. Now, it says something about Munguia returning to the ring just months later. He didn't take an extended holiday to go spend his money and all of that. He's coming back fighting. I do believe that Munguia is going to take another run at a title. And it'll probably be one of the titles that are vacated by Canelo, because I don't think Canelo is going to be able to continue to hold on to all of these belts, not fighting the number one contenders. But it's something to bear in mind, to keep yourself aware of. But I really like and respect the fact that Munguia is returning to the ring this month. I did not know that before this morning, because I try not to look too far ahead in what's happening. But when I find something that's worth mentioning like that, I thought I would bring it to your attention. How many of you out there knew of that Munguia was returning to the ring that quickly after coming off of a huge fight in his career with the likes of Canelo Alvarez? It's something to be said. Yeah. I thought that that's pretty cool. So yeah. But the lines are still open. You can call and we can discuss some things. But I just thought I would bring that to your attention, because also on the horizon will be the match that a lot of people are looking forward to. And that'll be Dubois and Joshua. That fight card is coming up. And I'm going to tell you something. That's a heavyweight match that a lot of people, man, are gearing up for. A lot of support and sentiment for Joshua. But there are some wise ones out there who are considering Daniel Dubois as a dangerous fight for Anthony Joshua. And I agree 1000%. This is going to be a dangerous match for Joshua. Dangerous. Salute to Jamal Davis out there. He says, salute Stormy. I love the Plant fight. He fought a tough fight with a tough guy. A ravishing Rick Rude mustache. Salute. Yeah. Yeah, Mr. Trevor McCumbee, his lack of experience showed last night. But boys, he's strong as an ox. He got that old school strength. Them old countrymen that used to live in the woods, and the government have to come out there to try to clear them off the land, and they be armed and they be fighting. They know guerrilla tactics and stuff, like, you know, fighting out of the woods and out of the brush. Caleb found himself in some mess early, though. He was like, oh. Good thing he had Breadman over there in his corner, because Breadman settled him down and kind of got him back in a good place. But man, Caleb was in there with a caveman last night. Caleb was like, wait a minute. I heard about these Caucasian people. Because you know, Caleb got that pass card, right? He got that pass card. And he been showing it everywhere he go. Even telling people on the street, I'll slap you. You understand? But he got in there with that guy. You know who Trevor McCumbee looked like? Y'all ever go to the grocery store and you see them paper towels on the shelf and it says, what is it? It says Bounty or something. And it's got that man with that plaid shirt on it with the axe over his shoulder. That's Trevor McCumbee's people. Caleb was like, who y'all done put me in the ring with, man? He's like, I'm trying to get the hell out of here. I gotta. Sweet Hands had to make some adjustments, but salute to him, cause there you go, Brownie, Frank from the land, Brownie. That's what I was trying to think. That Caleb was in there with the Brownie man. And you know, let me say this. If you in the grocery store and you looking for some good paper towels and you saw Sweet Hands on the shelf right here and next to it you see Brownie, you're going to probably pick Brownie. You ain't going to pick Sweet Hands, right? Man. Sweet Hands, the quick picker upper. No, that ain't what you want. You want Brownie. It gets the tough stains up. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but hey, man, salute to Caleb Plant. And I said in my post-fight show last night that if he had not fought those fights against Benavidez and Canelo, he probably would have lost that fight last night. Because that guy was throwing him around like he had the super soldier serum. Shit. You know I ain't lying though, right? You know I am not lying. Anybody watching that fight was like, damn, y'all feared for Caleb like a mug. Y'all was like, oh, you didn't fear for him like that when he was in there with Canelo. People was like, oh no, hide the children. You know, it was like, but Caleb pulled it out, man. I got to give him respect on that. I do. Because, hey, man, it ain't always going to be sweet in there, right? But he made old boy catch these hands. Oh, man. See, you guys, I can always find something funny to say about this boxing, man. I can't. It's like, boy, I'm going to tell you. Yeah, buddy. Salute to Mr. Shelton out there, Boxing and Barbecue. I see you. Mm-hmm. Master Musa says, who's the guy that stopped Villa? Hey, man, that guy that stopped Villa, that Ricardo Salas, hey, man, he showed Boots something, didn't he? He's like, I ain't going to be all night going back and forth with this dude. Fat threw that right hand right down the middle and hit Villa on the chin. Villa was like, can I get a blanket? Can I get a blanket and a pillow? Yeah, man. Listen, I'm gonna tell you something. That's why you can't just always be like, oh, he gonna win, he gonna win, he gonna See, the only fighters that you know gonna be in that type of position are guys like Tank Davis, where they picking who they got a very damn good chance to beat. Tank ain't been in a 50-50 fight yet. And I'm not coming at him. I'm just saying, like, there are guys out here who could test you. Test you. And that's all we want to ask of these guys. We're not even asking that they be tested every night out. We ask that at least a couple of times a year, and we know they only fight once or twice a year, right? A couple times a year, you face a good opponent. But if you're fighting guys that you're blowing out all the time, shouldn't you put some extra fights in between those? And not just make those the fights that we watch? You blowing people out. Nah, later for that, man. Later for that. But hey, did I line him up right when I said Brawny? Brawny, man, that was him, man. That was him. Oh boy. Hey, the lines is open, man. Somebody call in. Let's discuss some boxing. You know? I'm going to tell you something, but boxing teaches all the time, don't it? You remember I have this.
And if you see, the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out.
Yeah. That's about as ripe as the rain. T-Berry, what's good with you? It's been a minute. Where you been? Another fight from last night was Erislandy Lara and Danny Garcia. Man, I hated to see Danny go out like a clown, because it wasn't really considered a circus, but he made it one. What makes these guys think that they could just sit on the sidelines with their nice outfits and sweatsuits and everything, you know, And it's crazy. I don't understand. Hold on a second, Junior. Let me refresh that page. Maybe something. Let me refresh it. Okay, Junior, try it now. Try it now. I refreshed it. Sometimes you have to refresh it for whatever reason. It's the internet, you know. Okay, we got our brother Junior the Truth calling in. What's going on, man? How you feel?
Man, I'm good, bro. How you doing today?
Doing pretty good. Doing pretty good.
Hey, man, McCumbee, man. I'm gonna tell you, man. I was, and I had spoke to this, and me and you talked about it as well. Like, man, I was a little concerned about that energy and around that fight because, you know, I look at it from a couple different ways. The first thing is like, you know, of course, the inactivity of the fighters, you know, and all of that stuff. The inactivity of Caleb Plant. I know he talked about all of the sparring that he did between his fights. But, you know, it's as we know, or a lot of us know, you know, sparring is sparring, and then under the lights is different.
Right.
You know what I mean? There are a bunch of you know, sparring pay-per-view stars that we know nothing about.
Right.
Because under the lights is different. You know, it's a lot of sparring legends. You know what I mean? I know where I'm from, where you from, and you know, where everybody's from, respectively, all across the world. You have sparring legends. You know what I mean? You got people who can go in and tell you that, you know, they did rounds with, you know, Floyd Money Mayweather, and they gave him some work. You know, everybody gave everybody some work, but under the lights is different. And so that inactivity, man, was something that was scary to me. And then it was just something different about Caleb Plant's energy. And what I thought was that in that early fight, early on in the fight, like you said, the Bronny man, bro, he was coming in, bro, like literally coming to serve up destruction.
Yep.
He was coming to serve us some destruction. He was letting it be known that he was there to do what he was there to do. And I saw some concern from Caleb Plant in the way that he was maneuvering. Mm-hmm. And one of the big concerns for me is I'm always a fighter like Caleb Plant who, you know, we look at as having boxing prowess, sweet hands, defensively sound, so on and so forth. There was moments in there where Caleb was out of position, he was off balance, and you know, like we know, a fighter with Caleb Plant's profile and style, you're not supposed to be in those positions, especially in a fighter in there with a fighter that you are classes above. And so I saw some concern there early, and I was really concerned when he hit Caleb on the shoulder and knocked him down. Mm-hmm. And I said, oh man, you know what I mean? And it almost seemed like it took for Caleb to get in there and to really, it wasn't and if you listen to him in his post fight, he said he had to go to another game plan. You know what I mean? Meaning, the first game plan wasn't working. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like the first one wasn't working. And it was almost like he had to take a moment and come to the realization that he was classes above this kid, and then start to take advantage of that. And then we saw him settle in and be more comfortable and start putting on the show. But up until that point, man, it was a bunch of reasons for me to be concerned as a fan for Caleb, man. How did you see it?
Well, you know, when I did my breakdown on that fight, I had watched a few fights of McCombie, and the first thing that I noticed, I said this about Stephen Fulton when he was going over to fight Inoue. I was like, Caleb can't let this guy hit him. I was like, if he lets this guy hit him, he'll knock Caleb's head off. Because I could see his strength in the fighters that he was fighting. Even though that they were lower opposition, there's something about when somebody has strength and power that you don't just knock out so many men, you know, because a lot of men, once they know your rep for knocking people out, they guard against it. But you still knocking them out anyway. See, that's the thing that you pay attention to. Not just the guy got power, but that even when there's a history of people being slayed, you look at it and you be like, well, he's still getting to these people. That's why I was saying that Caleb can't let this guy hit him. And the guy had that confidence of a fighter like that. Remember, Mike Tyson was like that when he was coming up. Tyson was knocking folks out. And yeah, some of them were guys that were kind of tailor-made for him to be effective. But when he started knocking out some of the more named guys, or, you know, what they call the journeyman heavyweights who knew how to last and stuff like that, they were still getting knocked out. That means that that guy is capable, you know, and Trevor McCombie was that. And Trevor's mistake was not looking to capitalize on his opportunity. What he was doing was he fell into a rut that a lot of guys will. Of course, that was a huge step up for him in taking on Plant, a former titleist and a guy who had challenged for unification and fought another top contender in Benavidez. But understand, when I spoke about it earlier, I said, had he not fought Benavidez and Canelo, he would have lost that fight last night. Mm-hmm. It was the fact that the experience that he had. Now, what Trevor was coming in there was he knew he was strong. He knew he had punching power. But he didn't realize that you don't have the experience of Caleb. So if you could get to him early, that's what you do. Because if it starts to get beyond where you're comfortable, then maybe he can flip the script on you, because you're now venturing into the land of the unknown for yourself. And that's exactly what happened, because they said that McCombie had never been past 6 rounds. You see? And if 6 rounds had been his cutoff point, that means he had 4 good rounds to work on Caleb and try to get him up out of there or do enough damage that the fight could be over. And he almost did that. But notice that when he did hurt Caleb, what was he doing? He was kind of celebrating and showboating, like, look at me, I'm a badass, I'm a tough guy, instead of taking care of business. So he learned a very valuable lesson last night, or he should have learned a valuable lesson last night. You played with your food when you had it right there on the table ready to eat. You decided that you pushed the plate around and played with your knives and forks. Listen, in boxing, anybody can get the other body. All they need is the opportunity. That's why when we're watching matches like the Danny Garcia and Erislandy Lara fight, when Danny is not throwing punches, he ain't getting off. He talking about he was trying to get his and find his rhythm. You find your rhythm by going out there and start throwing. You don't wait for the rhythm, and nobody gonna come tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, I'm Rhythm, I've arrived. Where you want me to go to work for you? No, it don't work like that. So, again, McCombie messed up by not taking care of his business. Caleb did well to get close to him and be able to survive in moments of that closeness, recognizing the guy can't fight on the inside. He's not accustomed to people being in his chest. Caleb found a safe haven and went to work there, and then began to break the guy down psychologically, because the guy who's not used to being pushed up against the ropes, because he's usually chasing down everybody else and everything, thought he was finding comfort in there, but he was taking shots. He was taking abusive shots, body shots, short hooks, short punches, things that Caleb has learned over a duration of fighting quality fighters himself. Let's not forget the Darrell knockout. You know, Darrell, who was an experienced fighter himself, he went to sleep literally in there with Caleb, and Caleb put him to sleep for going to sleep on him, not watching the fact that this guy is dangerous. You know what I'm saying? He was thinking improperly. But like I just said a moment ago, anybody could get you if you give them that opportunity. And Darrell did that against Caleb, and that's why Caleb got his ass. Because you can't look at Caleb and tell by his physical appearance. He's definitely a fighter by heart and nature. He showed that when he go up to people outside in the public and be slapping them and stuff. He's like, that's real. You know what I mean? So you look at me, oh, that's a white guy. It don't matter if he white. You understand? It just matters that he's a fighter, and you have to treat him like that. See, Canelo never played with him. That's why Canelo was able to stop him late, because the mental pressure, Caleb kind of came apart there mentally late against Canelo. And when he went to sleep, Canelo helped him with the pillow. That's how that works. So it's something, you know, my take on it was definitely he can't play with this guy. This guy is dangerous. But he used his experience. He did what Larry Holmes used to talk about taking him out to sea and drowning him. That's exactly what Caleb did. And you said yourself that they admitted that wasn't their game plan originally. Mm-hmm. And their original game plan was, he just ain't on my level. Let me go out here and do what I can do. And then he ran into that strength. Because Caleb was on the canvas like 3-4 times.
Like 3 or 4 times.
You know, that was no joke. And that one time when he kind of like spun him around like a helicopter and he went to the floor, it was like, that dude you heard me say, it was like he had the super soldier serum. He was just throwing Caleb around like a rag doll. Yeah. But it was exciting, you know, because, not to cut you off, Junior, just say it was exciting because it's tests like that allow you to see what's in a guy. We knew Caleb can box. We knew that. We know that he could be slick, he could be defensive, but what we didn't really know is that when you peel that onion underneath, he got some ruggedness under there, and that's a good thing. That's a damn good thing. Because he also knows now that I have another depth that I can go to now. See, all the time it doesn't get proven unless you fight the people that can bring that out of you. And that's what happened there. It was great.
Mm-hmm. I think so. But I'm gonna tell you, man, and I'm gonna say this as a fan watching that fight and just the card, I feel slighted, right? And I'm gonna tell you why. And I said this, you know what I mean, on the podcast, but I look at Caleb Plant and his performance and what we saw there, and then I look at the main event with Edgar Berlanga. And just imagine the fight we would have got if it was Taylor Plant in with Edgar Berlanga on that card, man. Like literally, man. If Caleb Plant and Edgar Berlanga fought last night with the fights that we seen them in, man, that would have been I'm talking about a instant classic. It would have been an instant classic, man. And I always felt that, you know what I mean, the Berlanga versus Caleb Plant was a better fight than the Canelo fight. I felt like, you know, of course, you know, like everybody else, nobody was calling. Or
how about this, Junior, for a Puerto Rican matchup and a young classic building? How about Berlanga and Munguia? That would have been a great fight for both of them before one of them facing Canelo, because they both needed a fight like that to graduate to a level of Canelo. And it's like, and that doesn't even put them on Canelo's level. It just means that they went through something of a challenging, testing nature. Now, granted, Munguia did fight Derevyanchenko, and that was a good fight for him. I don't think he won that fight against Derevyanchenko, just like I don't think Derevyanchenko lost a few of the other fights. But at least if he had fought Berlanga, what that does is two young guys, close in age and everything, that can be tested in a manner of which that whomever is the victor, they can go forward, and you have a little bit more understanding of their constitutional makeup, both in the skill department and what's in their fortitude. But we hadn't got that from those guys, and that's how the sport robs itself. You know what it's like, and you might really understand this analogy. You remember there was a time in professional basketball where good high school guys, the high school All-Americans and stuff, they go to the top universities, right? Kentucky, UCLA, Georgetown. These guys go and they get that college experience, and then they go to the NBA, and it's like they ready for the NBA. And then all of a sudden the NBA got a little too over smart for themselves and started taking guys straight out of high school. And what happens is the learning curve that they're supposed to get with the college experience, traveling, going to different places around the states and different cities and stuff. And that whole experience, university experience, being on campus, being away from home, your mama and your daddy and all of that stuff. Still having hey, can you send me some money for laundry, pops? That kind of thing. It's like
learning how to take care of your body.
Exactly. You miss that transition. And then when you're in university, you're relying on your coaches. You're relying on the experience, the learning. You're going to pay attention to them. You might not even like it there, but at the same time, you know that you have to trust. So you start to trust the coaches, or you even start to trust teammates, or you might start to trust both. But the process, it cultivates. That's what was missing. For a long stretch, they were grabbing guys straight out of high school and everything. And those guys coming in there, they get $1 million check, and it's like they going and they spending, they buying motorcycles, ruining their careers. They're doing all kind of stupid stuff that wasn't there initially, And look at it now. The game is really watered down. It's not what it used to be. And then if you even try to introduce, fundamentals and everything, they looking at you like you crazy. So in boxing, it's the same. Canelo selecting these young guys before they learn, he's looking better for it because it's a veteran wise move to take a guy off the perch before he begins to learn what's the meaning or purpose of the perch. You understand? And then it's like you take something from him. Berlanga is not going to be the same after this. He's not. You know why? Because at the post-press conference, they were talking about, especially Hearn said it, he's made a lot of money off of this and everything. He's been able to change his family's life. Well, think about it like this. Yeah, he made a great bag against Canelo. Now, do you think he's really going to fight hard after that? If you look at his temperament, his disposition, it doesn't tell you that. He don't like to be embarrassed, so he wants to appear to be a tough guy, a badass. But I'm telling you from what I was looking at, that there were a number of things that he could have did to Canelo last night that he didn't even try.
Right.
And if he didn't try while he was so-called hungry, what's going to make you think he's going to try when his belly is full?
Yeah.
You see?
And I think to piggyback on that, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I think that there were things that he could have done because he doesn't, and he didn't do it because the knowledge is not there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
the knowledge is not there because he was not in there versus Jaime Munguia, Anthony Durrell, Jose Uzasaki. He did not come through those. He just kind of got plucked and put here in a time that he wasn't ready, so he didn't know to go to some of those things.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't know.
Canelo went back to his corner after the first round and told Reynoso he's strong.
Yeah.
That's Canelo. Now, Canelo has fought strong guys before, hasn't he? But for him to go and sit down and tell his trainer he's strong, that's like Canelo going to Reynoso saying, okay, I think I got a challenge in front of me. What do I do? You see the difference of understanding? It's like, and it's Reynoso's job to remind him what to do, stay focused. And that's exactly what Reynoso did for him. You see, again, coaching is very important. But trusting the process of what transpires between coaching is also important. The fact that Canelo could go back to the man and tell him that. He didn't go back and say, oh, he ain't got nothing, trying to be brave and trying to be macho. He's letting the guy know, hey, he's strong. You know, we got to be careful. That's basically what he's saying. And they were careful. But they never let Berlanga know that he thinks he's strong. When Caleb was fighting Canelo, didn't he say to him at some point, not too bad for a guy that's 23-0 or something? And then he said that, and Canelo was like, but see, he revealed that, hey, I think I belong here. Don't you think so too? No, you don't belong here. Fat. Have a good night. And that's what it was. You know, and this, but again, when you understand, you know, it makes a difference. And that's why, like I said, my breakdown of that with McCumbee, it's like I'm looking at this guy. I'm like, even though he had not fought guys on Caleb's level, that don't mean that if he hit him, he ain't gonna hurt him. When he hit Caleb with that left hook when he was near the ropes and he dropped him right at the bell, I was like, oh shit, if that was in the middle of the round, that fight might be over.
Yeah, done.
And it's like, you know, and kudos for Caleb for getting up, getting himself together and going back out there. But it's like, my goodness. But McCumbee, relying on what he's done I eventually get the guy. But now we're beyond those rounds that you usually get guys. Now you got to do something different. See, he didn't make the adjustments. He never thought much of using a jab. He used brute force and brute presence. Well, there's levels to this game. And all of that will only get you so far. I remember when Larry Holmes was fighting Mike Weaver. Weaver was strong as hell. And in one of them rounds, he rocked Holmes and had Holmes holding on to the ropes and everything before he went down. But as they got in that 10th and 11th round, Weaver was tired. All them nice looking muscles and everything. He was blowing for oxygen and everything. And Holmes led him back over into that corner. And Weaver started coming in there and boop, hit him with that uppercut and it was over. Just like that. That's experience. Where you got, this guy's tired now. If I nail him a good shot now, he might not get up. And that's exactly what happened.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it's a cold game. And this is a beautiful conversation. I'm going to get on back. I got to get on back to doing what I was doing, man. I just wanted to call in and get some love and actually hear some real boxing talk. You feel me? So,
yes, sir.
Appreciate it, bro.
All right. I appreciate you, man. Thanks, Junior.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Peace. Yeah. Junior the Truth calling in, representing. Yes, sir. Woo. Great call. But that's why we do what we do, man. That's why we do what we do. Lines are still open. Feel free. Come on, Mahari, if you want to call, you can call in. Shaquila, what's going on with you, Queen? I see you out there. Okay, we got 651 in the building. I believe that's my brother Abel Mahari. What's going on, man?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Stormybman. How you been?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How you?
I'm pretty good, man. Doing pretty well. You know, was able to catch up on a lot of different things, you know, college football and some boxing too. And, you know, I was out there chilling at home, staying out of trouble, being a responsible adult. That's a lot of you youngsters don't know how to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I was going to add some things about what I saw The one thing that really stuck out to my mind as I finished up watching these fights the other night, and I didn't even bother watching, Canelo Berlanga because I had a feeling what was going to happen. I just didn't even bother. But the two fights in particular, between Lara and Garcia, remember what you told me about what Marvin Hagler said. He particularly said that it's hard to get up in the morning when you're wearing those silk pajamas and silk blankets in your own nice little mansion. Something to that effect.
Yeah.
I may not be right with the quote, but looking at the fight between Garcia and Lara the other night, it just felt like, Garcia was pretty much mentally checked out. It reminded me a lot of when Mike Tyson fought against Kevin McBride. And when Mike Tyson pretty much was out there just to get a payday in and not even put up a fight. It felt like that to a certain extent. And I could see it even from the very first round. Like, Danny Garcia is not even being his old Swift and the old Swift Garcia that we used to love when he was at 140 or 147. So I think that at this particular point, the fact that he's been out on his long layout for the past 2 years, not because we already know what happened to his dad with his health issues, and now that he's into real estate, and also doing other financial stuff, I just think that at this point, Danny Garcia is pretty much done in boxing. He pretty much checked out. He's got 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and the thing is, in a sport like boxing, if you don't have the heart or don't have the grit to keep on fighting, then you're only setting yourself up to be nothing more than a journeyman fighter, and pretty much all the opportunities that you once had will no longer exist. So, but it just felt sad to see, how fallen off Danny Garcia has pretty much become. But it's pretty much anticipated. What do you think, sir?
Danny Garcia. Danny has been done with boxing a long time. Do you remember when he was boxing Errol and his dad was pleading with him to go after Errol and do some things because he saw where Errol wasn't handling certain aspects of him offensively very well, but he couldn't get Danny to push the gas. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. Yes.
If he wasn't going to do it against Errol, what make you think like 4 or 5 years later he would do it now?
Mm-hmm. Right.
You see,
exactly.
You see, and this is the thing. That's why when I talked about him, I said, listen, it's interesting that Danny wants to come back. He said he wants to be a 2-division champ. Well, wasn't he a champ at 140?
I think he was a unified champ at some point, I believe.
And then he became a champ at 147.
Correct.
So somehow this was communicated by him that he wanted to be a 2-division champ, going for a belt like at 154 or 160 or whatever. Maybe he just had his numbers crossed up. But what I saw more than anything was that this is a businessman who wanted to secure another bag for whatever his personal endeavors are. I talked about this a little bit already. He's well invested and he's well taking care of his family and everything. Danny reminds me of one of those guys. He likes to wear the fly outfits. He likes to look good and clean. Don't want to get dirty. He kind of keeps himself and when you got a guy like that, and that's what his disposition is, once he's made some money and everything, that dedication and hard work that'll make you a champion, make you grit and grind and all of that kind of goes away. It's been gone from him a long time. That's just an honest assessment. And then when you go back to his career and you look at who he stepped up to face, and I've talked about this already. He's already faced guys like Sean Porter, Keith Thurman, and Errol Spence. And in those step up bouts, he's lost to each and every one of those guys. He's lost to each and every one of them. Now, prior to losing to those guys, he still had close calls against others, you know, and that's enough to really, again, when you start to assess what is he really about, what is really going on here, you can see beating Benavidez in that last outing, which was in July of 2022, that wasn't a big thing. Benavidez has had his share of setbacks himself, but the name is strong and prominent in the sport, and it's respected in the sport. But 2 years before is when he lost to Spence in 2020. So you've been off all that time, man. What are you doing? And you think that people, and it just, I don't know. And outside of losing to guys like those top guys that I mentioned, you know, he had a majority decision victory back in 2015 over Lamont Peterson. And if I remember that fight correctly, a lot of people felt that Peterson won that fight.
Yeah, me too. I was one of those people too that when I was watching the fight on it was on NBC at the time, I felt that Lamont Peterson did enough to win the fight, and they gave it to Garcia, which was, I felt that it was a very bad decision in my opinion.
Yeah, so all in all, you're looking at a guy who may have been checked out of the sport a long time, you know, and he just happened to get in there last night with a guy who is having a resurgence in his career of a different type of nature where he's knocking people out now. Lara is knocking people out. What's interesting is, what if Lara recognized his punching power and his strength earlier in his career? He might have been a different force of nature. Because I'm going to tell you something. It's not something he's doing all of a sudden outside of like punching to get you instead of like hit and not be hit. You know, when you have that hit and not be hit mentality, kind of like a Hector Camacho, you know, you're not putting everything on it and everything, and you're trying to be evasive and stuff like that. But his legs aren't what they used to be. So now he kind of like, and if you notice, he was going after Danny last night, not with a great deal of energy or anything, but he still was in pursuit. And it turns out that you look at it and you can see, oh, this is what happened. Yeah. But I'm going to tell you something. I look at what he's done, and Lara has really given boxing something to consider. Just because you get older doesn't mean it's over. But I wish he would see a barber before he get in the ring, because it's like it don't look good seeing that moon roof. You know what I mean? It's like that.
You know, it felt like you know, with Lara, it made me think like if he recognized how powerful he was, especially when he was younger. I mean, I look back to that fight. We can look back against the fight against Canelo where he, you know, had a close decision loss. If he had that if he was able to demonstrate that level of power against Canelo, it'd be a totally different fight. Seriously.
Well, maybe he did display it, and Canelo didn't put himself in jeopardy for it, because you remember when Canelo knocked out what's his name that was trained by the lady? What's my man's name?
You're talking about I know who you're referring to. James Kirkland?
Kirkland, yeah. You remember how Canelo went after Kirkland? He didn't go after Lara like that. he fought a different kind of a fight against Lara.
Correct.
So there may have been, he may have felt some power and whatnot, you know. But it's, again, here we are. When you look at fighters, they tell you who they are with their performances. It's just you have to pay attention to them and recognize. Canelo is now in a mode of like, he wants to be the king in the ring. He doesn't want to face another king in the ring. Benavidez would be another king in the ring. He doesn't want that. So that's why you're not going to get that fight. Because his limitations, meaning Canelo's, they're more glaring than Benavidez. When people watch Benavidez take on Gvozdyk in his last fight, they say, oh, he looked different against a real light heavyweight and this and that. He could grow into light heavyweight because the guy is still in his mid-20s. You know, we're talking about Benavidez there. But at super middleweight, he's every bit as formidable as anybody at super middleweight. But why should he leave super middleweight and he hasn't grown into light heavyweight yet? It's a difference between growing into that level and just jumping up to that level because somebody don't want to compete with you down here. Because it's like your body still has to mature. You have to get your muscle mass together. You have to get, you know, your constitution set up. Canelo has stolen opportunities fighting against poor light heavyweights. He ain't take on the best of the light heavyweights. Even if someone wants to think that Dmitry Bivol is the best of the light heavyweights, he's not. Artur Beterbiev is the best of the light heavyweights. And even if you say outside of Artur Beterbiev, the best of the light heavyweights up there, who would you say? I wouldn't say Dmitry Bivol. I would be looking at guys like Anthony Yard and so forth. So it's like, remember, the perception over what the reality is. When I'm talking about the reality of who's really best, the perception is somebody else is, because that's a narrative being pushed and pressed. People are going to be very surprised when the Bivol-Beterbiev fight takes place. They're going to be shocked. I'm not going to be shocked, but they're going to be shocked. And they're going to be making up excuses. They're going to be talking out the side of their behinds because it's not going the way that they hope or wish that it would go. But I know otherwise. That's why Canelo hasn't gone after Artur, because Artur is the best at that weight. And it doesn't matter that he's freaking 40 years old almost. He's 39 or whatever. Because you just saw Lara prove at 41 what he can still do to people. You ain't heard Canelo call Lara up for a rematch, have you?
Nope.
And you ain't gonna.
Nope. Because Canelo can pretty much tell you straight up, like, I've already beat this dude. Why would I need to go back and do this again? And at this stage right now, I think that Lara at this stage now can beat Canelo because now he's showing that he can punch through the target, and also he's not afraid of getting hit too. That's the other thing with Lara now. And also, I'm excited for the Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol fight, because I have a really strong feeling that Artur Beterbiev is going to turn up a switch that people never thought he had. And listen, I respect how multi-skilled Dmitry Bivol is, but I don't think he's at the same level as Beterbiev is.
Beterbiev has already beaten guys that are more athletic, stronger punching power, better boxing. He's beaten them all. So what is Dmitry gonna bring that he hasn't seen before? Nothing. And I'm gonna tell you something about mentioning turning up that switch. The fight that he had against Joe Smith Jr., Go back and watch that fight again. Joe Smith was a strong, light heavyweight that was beating people. Once he upset Bernard Hopkins and everything, it put his career in a different light. But what was interesting about Joe is he recognized that physically he was a little bit stronger and bigger than Arthur, and he decided to roll the dice. And within that first round, Arthur made an adjustment because Joe attacked him. Arthur made an adjustment where he began to use footwork, lateral movement, stepping around, giving a different angle to change things up on Smith. It was something that you hadn't really seen him do a lot of. And then he began to run Smith into shots. And though the shots were well placed, that's not what people notice. They just notice the strength of Arthur when he punches, but it's the punch placement. He knows where to hit you and how to hit you to hurt you effectively. That is something that is learned over a period of time. And though he only has 20 professional fights, he has tons of amateur fights just like these other guys do who come from Germany, Russia, outside the U.S. or whatever. But you don't hear them talking about his amateur background. And don't forget this. He was a senior amateur and Bivol was a junior amateur when they were in the amateurs. They're familiar with each other. And there's a reason that Dimitri didn't want to fight prior to now. He didn't want to fight Arthur like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. They both had the title since then. They're trying to age him out. But one of the things that you can't age out is the strength and power and experience of a fighter. Yeah, the athleticism that he never really relied upon, that's not a factor. But what's going to happen when the fight gets 7, 8, 9 rounds and Dimitri's conditioning starts to kick in, and it's like, because he's in a tough fight, he's getting a little tired. And some of the shots that were missing early in the fight are not missing now.
That's right.
You see?
Yep. I'm telling you right now, I have a very strong suspicion that people are going to see something in Better Beat that they pretty much say, dang, he had that. When you and me, and I know Drew Titan, we know what Better Beat was all about. But I'm telling you, they're going to be in for a very, very shocking surprise.
Listen, when he did what he did to Anthony Yard, I was convinced that he's a damn good champion. Because Anthony Yard is a talented guy. He is strong. He's big at the weight. He's fast. And he got pop on his punches. And when he began to mentally get to Anthony Yard and then began to break him down, and don't forget, Yard's corner stopped the fight just before he gets KO'd. And when the fight was stopped, Arthur goes back to his corner and he says, I was just getting warmed up.
Right. I remember that. You're right.
He said, I was just getting warmed up. I'm like, well, damn. Do you understand? It's like, what level is this guy ready to go to? But then you think back against Marcus Brown, and he had the bad cut in the middle of his forehead, just like Badu Jack damn near. And he's bleeding to death, huh? And they say, we'll give you one more round, we're going to stop it. And he beats the crap out of Marcus Brown. Brown looking over there at the corner. Brown looking over there at the corner at Derrick James. Hey, man, you going to throw the towel in? Derrick James say, put the towel away. You know, he's like, he getting killed out there. You know what Apollo's trainer told Rocky? Throw the goddamn towel. He wouldn't throw the towel in there. So Marcus just took a knee, man. He did a what's his name? Colin Kaepernick.
Yep. I'm just saying, bro. Like, Beterbiev is perhaps the best. He's the best light heavyweight in boxing today, and I don't know. And people don't even know how much of a level he can turn it to something that is out of the norm. I mean, there's a reason why Canelo will never ever face this dude. Beterbiev will destroy him within 5 rounds. And even if Canelo gets his moments of trying to like stop the dude, Beterbiev has a different level that Canelo will never ever reach. And that's why Canelo knows I can't beat this guy. I'm gonna stay far away from this guy. He's a matchup nightmare.
And I'm gonna tell you something, Canelo. I'm not chomping at the bit for him to get in there with Artur Beterbiev because I know what will happen.
Yep,
but
me neither.
But he didn't even want to fight Dimitri Bivol in a rematch. Canelo is comfortable being a big fish in a small pond, man. But people need to realize what I said about him last night rings true, or Friday night on my Friday night chat. Canelo is a fat, overweight welterweight. Did you hear what I said?
Yes, I did.
He's a fat, overweight welterweight. He never wanted to campaign at welterweight. He always fought at that 155 foolishness. He started out a couple of welterweight fights, but he stayed up there. And that's because what he does is rehydrate bigger than the opponents most of the time, stronger than most of the opponents. He's 5'7.5" with a 70.5-inch reach. Those are welterweight dimensions, not middleweight dimensions, welterweight dimensions. Now, in the same vein, there's another fighter who's a champion that many people are not too happy about facing him or whatever. But there's a gentleman by the name of Terrence Crawford who happens to be 5'8" with a 74-inch reach. Was most recently the undisputed welterweight champion and has now moved up to super welter. There are people like, oh, Canelo is too big, too strong for Crawford. But do you really remember Canelo knocking out a lot of guys when he was at 155?
Not many.
We remember a devastating knockout over Amir Khan. But Amir Chin Khan, as they call him, he was never a noted guy to take punches, was he? He was never a guy that, But think about it. He didn't knock out Berlanga last night. He didn't knock out Jaime Munguia. He didn't knock out Charlo. He didn't knock out John Ryder. He didn't knock out Gennady Golovkin. He didn't knock out Dimitri Bivol. You know what I mean? So what that's telling you, he didn't knock out Danny Jacobs. He didn't knock out Miguel Cotto. We're talking about guys who, over a period of time, you put that junior welterweight and welterweight division, and they've moved up and become bigger men. Do you see what I'm trying to crystallize for you here? It's like, don't get caught up in the hype. There's a strategic plan. They've moved Canelo through this sport without him facing certain individuals, because after the loss to Floyd Mayweather, they didn't want him to have to face those type of circumstances again because he can't overcome that. He doesn't have the talent to overcome it. He doesn't have the aptitude to overcome it. And he definitely doesn't have the athleticism to overcome it. So they circle him away from those individuals. Now, there's another fighter that they're moving like that in the sport. His name is Vasyl Lomachenko. Same shit.
Correct.
See,
Or even
go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say to add to your point. That's also St. Davis. Nearly the same thing.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. See, I don't get angry about this stuff when I know what I'm looking at, you know? That's why we could have people, they could say, well, man, boxing is dead. You know, boxing is not doing this and that. Listen, boxing can be a beautiful sport. We saw some very good fights last night. Romain Villa getting knocked out by Carlos Castro. Man, that was good. That was good stuff.
Yep. And then Caleb Plant coming back after getting knocked down a few times and then overcoming and showing him a different level of grit and then coming back to beat the other. I forgot it. I can't describe his name, but yeah, you know who I meant.
And what's his name? Stephen Fulton last night proved once again that he ain't the master boxer people thought he was before he fought Inoue.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's going to try to continue to compete at featherweight, he is in trouble. Big time. Wait till Oshaki get a hold of his ass.
Oof. Yeah, Oshaki Foster. Oh, God. Yeah, I think they're going to steer him far, far away from Oshaki Foster as best as possible. I'm saying. Yeah, man.
The one thing about boxing, man, when you're competing in this sport, you can run, but you can't hide. If there's quality fights to be made, there's enough of these guys that they don't realize there's always somebody, you know. You can avoid this one or that one, but there's always somebody on the come up or on the horizon or just around the corner waiting for their opportunity.
Yep. I like that analogy. You can't run, but you can't hide in boxing. I like that analogy.
You can't. It's like at some point you got to face it. And that was what was good what Caleb did last night. He faced down the dragon last night. And he won. He prevailed. But he's going to have to change his mentality. Otherwise, in his next outing, he could be got himself. That's the thing about fighters like Caleb. You know, there are certain fighters who show the full 5-star complete fighter, 5 dimensions. Then there are others who show 2-star, 3-star, and of course 1-star. Very few show the 4-star because 4 and 3, there's actually a huge divide between a 3-star fighter and a 5-star fighter. I'll give you an idea of what I mean when I talk about a 5-star fighter. I consider Bud Crawford a 5-star fighter. A 3-star fighter could be someone of the ilk of, let's say, possibly a Dimitri Bivol. He could be 3, okay? Tank Davis, depending on where they have him fighting, if he's fighting at 130, or 135, excuse me. If he's fighting at 135, Tank Davis could be a 3. The reason that he can't be higher than that is because they won't put him in against people who will challenge what his shortcomings are. See, even though you could have shortcomings, you could still go into certain fights and challenge and overcome your shortcomings, you see? And that's when you can jump to 5, because if you've been contested against where you fall short, and you can overcome still, you can still win. That means that you can adjust. You can do things that were not necessarily expected of you or whatever, and that equates you to going up to that 5th level. That's why 4 is almost like a ladder between 3 and 5. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Guys like Pitbull, he's a 2-dimensional fighter. And some people will say, well, he only knows how to slug or whatever. I consider him 1. No, but see, he's 2 because he can still trick a person into allowing him to be successful against him. Like a Rolly. He was able to trick Rolly into being successful. He couldn't trick Rayo into it. And he tricked Tank into allowing him to think that he belonged. See, Tank was used to knocking these little guys out and everything so much that when he got in there with Pitbull, he thought that would just be another follow the script. But Pitbull proved to be a little tougher than just to lay down from getting hit solidly by Tank. And also, mysteriously, Tank hurt his hand in that fight, so he didn't get the knockout. So the 2 and 3 rated between them is, you know, I believe that Vasyl Lomachenko is a 2-dimensional fighter, just like Pitbull is. Many people would argue that point, but let me tell you, why hasn't he rematched anyone he's lost to? The only reason that you don't want to rematch guys that you lose to is typically because you don't feel that you can defeat them. The lack of confidence in the self-belief that you can't overcome what your shortcomings are. So why should I rate you higher than what you're incapable of challenging yourself to do? You see what I'm saying? I'm everything that I am laying out here and speaking these things, people can get angry all they want. But ask the fighters to prove the theory and prove it wrong.
Yep. And they are not willing to prove it. And that's why they're going to get the same heat every single time. As mad as they want to get, let's say for St. Davis, like they can get mad all they want to, but until he proves it, he is where he's at. That is it.
Loma has 3 fights he could have rematched. He could have rematched Salido. He could have rematched Tio. Yep. He could have rematched Devin. And he didn't. And all 3 of those men are different types of fighters. Mm-hmm. So he lost to 3 different types of fighters. So that tells me that 2-dimension that I put him in class with Pitbull is more evident than you might think.
Yep.
But you don't see Loma as a 2-dimensional fighter, do you? Because of how they navigated him around the sport. But I'm telling you, if he can't beat the Mexican style that Salido brings, if he can't beat the athletic style that Tio brings, if he can't beat the boxing technical style that Devin brings, then he's not that damn great himself, is he?
Nope. And that's what I try to tell people all these years, that he's not what you think that they're trying to tell you. He's not. And I took a lot of heat for it myself, because they tried to think, well, Lomachenko can turn this up. He doesn't have another level. There's a reason why he never rematched Salido. He never fought against Tio again, and even Devin again. There's a reason for it.
Mahari, all you got to do is clip this conversation when I started talking about him. That's right there, and that can stand the test of time. I just shut it all down with what I said. It's right there. Like I said, people can get mad all they want to. But have him prove that wrong. Have him prove it incorrect. It's right there. It's evident.
Yep. I'm definitely going to stamp that and tell that to everybody. Prove to me that Lomachenko can beat those guys and he take a rematch. And the answer is simply no. That's all I need to know. That's all needs to be said.
And you know that I was going to say, and you know that any of those 3 fights that he lost, there would have been money on the table for him to take the rematch because of who backs him and everything. That would have been an opportunity for him to come up, especially against Tio. That was a top ranked fight. They could have made it a pay-per-view. They could, you know what I'm saying? But he didn't want it.
He didn't want it. Nope. He never wanted it. And even through all the people that will say, "Oh, Lomachenko can beat all different types of styles." Stop. You're listening to promotion. You're listening to the overhyped people that don't know anything about boxing. That's it. And people will say that Lomachenko could outbox Pernell Whitaker. Man, stop. That's disrespectful. And more importantly, Pernell Whitaker would have stopped him within 5 rounds. Pernell wouldn't even have to try that hard to beat him. Seriously.
Yeah.
Yep. That's it. But hey, Stormybman, I wanted to just appreciate the conversation, and I'm gonna use that Lomachenko clip for the test of time and tell people if he's all that he say he is, why he didn't rematch all 3 of those fighters.
There you go.
Conversation over.
There you go.
Conversation over.
That's it.
So, all right, Stormybman. Many blessings to you, Sensei.
Same to you.
Hope, and then I can't wait for you to talk about. I'm telling you, people are gonna be surprised. I'm telling you.
Yep. All right, brother. You take care now. All right. Yeah, great call there from my brother, Abel Mahari. Appreciate that. Mahari Nation Sports Podcast. Yeah. There was someone from 702 that was trying to call while Mahari's call came in. The line is now open. If that person is still out there in the chat, you can call back. We'll be on for another few minutes talking about these fights that are coming up. One thing that we didn't get a chance to talk about was the now canceled fight between Shakur Stevenson and Joe Cordina. Allegedly, Stevenson suffered a hand injury in training and pulled out of the fight. There have been conversations over this. Video footage was released alleging that was when he may have suffered the injury. Personally, I believe that the heat was getting too hot for the Stevenson camp. I don't think he felt ready for this particular challenge with Cordina being a main event on pay-per-view for the Riyadh season card that is the Bivol fight card. Stevenson has never been on pay-per-view before. He headlining an event outside the U.S. There's a lot of X's to be put in a row for him to come through and be able to be mentally sound and confident. And I think that he wasn't up for that. Could the hand injury be real? Absolutely, it could be real. But I've seen fighters pull out of fights that were supposed to be a make or break scenario for them on a regular basis, never to even consider revisiting that said match as they moved on to something else in their career after allegedly healing from the injury. Now, what would serve him well is whenever he comes back to take on Joe Cordina still. That would be the thing to do for him. But will he do it? Probably not. Just like when Dillian White pulled out against Otto Walling a few years back. When Walling was riding the wave of success of having competed against Tyson Fury in a tremendous fight that they had years ago, Dillian White pulled out of that fight with a mysterious hand injury. Sometimes when the fighters have a contract that they've signed to meet one another, that contract also has an expiration date, meaning that even though that they can suffer injuries, the contractual agreement is still good for a certain duration, so a fight can be postponed. But when it's canceled altogether, that gives you room to think that, does someone really not want this? When you can go back and revisit a fight again. Remember when Spence and Crawford fought, they had a two-way rematch agreement. And Spence waited until the 11th hour to activate that rematch clause, and then opted to go on and have some medical concerns dealt with and everything, and he came back from that and didn't revisit the rematch. And there was an expiration date, and once that took place, Crawford moved on to 154 and began to negotiate a deal that ended up with he facing Israel Madrimov. But the irony is, when Spence was ready to come back and say he wants to fight again, he was talking about jumping in the ring against Fandura, who just became that IBF titleist after his win over Tim Tszyu. Spence never mentioned Crawford, which lets you know that he moved on from the Crawford fight without actually publicly saying, I'm moving on from the Crawford fight. The ugly, terrible, nasty business of boxing. And they make you fans fight each other over it. You fight each other and develop more of, what do they call it? What's the word I'm looking for? You have these battles with one another over who you like, who you don't like, and this and that. And it gives the fighters a reason to not face each other because they're like, oh, the fans don't support it anyway. This happens too often. You guys are being played. You're being played. Yeah. It happens, though. It happens. No, boxing and barbecue. Vitriol is not the word I was looking for. There's another word that escapes me at the moment. You know, I'm having these, I don't know. Sometimes I'm having these gaps, man, that I'm not accustomed to having. I think I'm gonna have a test done. We had a lot of people out here today. Almost 200 people. Let's hear from our brother, the focus ball, huh?
Get ready to take your striking game to the next level with the focus ball. Dramatically improved footwork, timing, head movement, hand-eye coordination, reflex, and overall fight IQ. It's lightweight and extremely portable, so you can train every time, everywhere. When you don't have a coach to do mitt work, get a focus ball. When you don't have a heavy bag to hit, get a focus ball. When you don't have a sparring partner, get yourself a focus ball. And when you just want to have fun punching and kicking, get a focus ball. When you train with the focus ball, you train your eyes and your brain to read punches so that you can hit and not get hit, making this very simple device a must-have for all combat sports athletes and enthusiasts alike. So if you want to take your striking game to the next level, don't wait. Get the focus ball now.
Yeah. So, we're coming to the end of another show. It's been a very good Sunday morning answering the bell. A lot of participation, a lot of chat activity, just the way that I like that. And I appreciate the callers that we had today. Mansa Musa, Junior the Truth, Abel Mahari. Appreciate you guys supporting the show, calling in with the great conversations that you were able to provide for today. And we look forward to coming back next week with another Answering the Bell. So with that being said, I want to say shout out to the mighty LDBC and we will catch you guys on the next one. Everyone have a wonderful week. Peace to everybody.